Hello and welcome to Black and Forth. I'm your host, Nori. I'm so excited to be here. We have a very special guest. Today's show is a little bit different. We're really going to focus on your personal relationship with God and how you've been living and thriving and making it through a whole pandemic. You have made it this far, so you're going to be all right. So, of course, Black and Forth is being brought to you by our good friends at Digital-PR, as well as the Wave USA. Our special guest today is Brooke Watson. She is here and ready to jump right into this conversation. But before that, she is a Jill of all trades. I mean, she is out here making it happen. She is an entertainment mama after my own heart, which I love. She's worked for various record labels, media, entertainment, corporate, nonprofit. I mean, you have touched so many sectors and so many spaces, which is absolutely wonderful because you're an expert, which means you have a plethora of information and expertise for us, but from marketing to promotions, event planning, fundraising, health and wellness, the list really goes on. But not only are you out here making it happen physically, but you're also taking care of that mental once again, which is really important in this space that we are in time right now. So without further ado, thank you and welcome again to Black and Forth. We're so happy to have you here.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor and a privilege for sure.
Yeah, well, listen, really just trying to make sure that we speak to the whole person holistically. And, having you on the show is definitely our pleasure. So tell us about Alpha Street Baptist Church. I remember when I first moved here, I heard about Alpha Street. So tell me about your relationship with the church.
Okay, well, Alpha Street is a small little church on the corner of Alpha Street and Duke Street in Alexandria, Virginia. Our pastor is the Reverend Dr. Howard John Wesley. And I joined in maybe like 2010 and kind of kept a low profile for a couple of years, kind of figuring out where I fit exactly. I worked with Awana and the kids. I sang in the choir for like 5 minutes, just trying to figure out where I really fit. And I started volunteering with CAYA, which is a young adult entity here called CAYA Come As You Are. And I was just volunteering. And at some point over maybe like 2-3 years into doing that, the then director decided to step down. And Pastor Wesley asked me if I would be willing to, assume the position as the director of CAYA. And I've been here ever since.
Awesome. Well, CAYA is short for Come As You Are. Why was this program formed?
So Mark Stafford, who was the visionary for CAYA, he started it back in, I want to say 2008. And he felt like young adults needed a space just for them, specifically for them. And we didn't have that at the time. And we had the young adult ministry, but that was just, programming here and there, but he wanted an actual service that catered to young adults. He took that idea to Pastor Wesley. He thought it was a great idea. And they started, I want to say maybe 2 or 3 months after that. And it's held the first Wednesday of every month. And it's a service geared towards young adults, 21 to 40-ish. Pastor Wesley kept increasing that age the older he got. But we talk about everything from relationships, communication, hip hop and Christianity, sexuality, dating, things like that. So the things that are a little too taboo to talk about on a Sunday morning, we tackle in CAYA.
I love that. A lot of people, and we kind of hit on this a little bit, have had their lives just completely upended and changed the last 6 months. And it's kind of thrown a lot of people for a loop. What programs at the Alpha Street Baptist Church, am I saying it right, offering to help folks to cope with the pandemic?
So we do have a counseling ministry. It's called Agape, and specifically geared towards members. They have therapists and counselors willing and available, readily available for members to have sessions with them, even if they don't have actual therapists that they can go to. They can actually have sessions with some of these counselors and therapists to kind of just help find their way, to speak with ministers, to have prayer. Aside from that, community is still so important. So we have villages, which is kind of like our small groups, and those have just started back up again. And I feel like right now, virtually, even connecting virtually helps people tremendously. So even in our villages, people get together. Those are about 10 to 12 people, and they talk about the sermon from Sunday. And it's kind of like curriculum based. There's a facilitator who, kind of walks them through the sermon, and then they kind of gather in person. Prior to the pandemic, obviously it would be held at people's homes. Not sure when that will resume again, but they've been currently doing them virtually. So between the Agape Ministry, the villages, we've been trying to stay connected that way.
Oh, I think that's beautiful. To have a safe space to go to connect with people, to reach across the aisle and say you're not here alone. I think that's really important, and I think that's beautiful. One of the things I wanted to touch on is obviously the millennials. So, how is CAYA or any of the programs specifically catering to the millennial generation?
Mm-hmm. So CAYA has historically just been a service, and it's held on the first Wednesday of every month, as I mentioned. But we started doing things like brunches and the CAYA Cool Down, which would be kind of like fun, wholesome, events out in various venues in the city. But obviously, gathering right now is not really an option. But we've tried to kind of be creative with that. We did do CAYA takes yoga, so we did like a yoga class on the water in Old Town Alexandria, and it was really great. One, we only had about 20 to 25 people, but even that was just nice to kind of be around people again. We were 6 feet apart, everyone on their individual mats, and it was just an amazing experience. One, just spiritually, yoga helps you to just decompress, relieve some stress, and then just kind of being around people, fellowshipping again. I've been trying to figure out ways to carefully gather again, whether that be like a parking lot movie night or a drive-in movie or a drive-in concert. So we are still trying to figure that out, a way to do that safely, because we have not really seen each other since March of this year.
Yeah.
Which is a very, very long time when you're used to seeing people every Sunday and, and sometimes more.
Yeah. Being able to physically be in spaces with people, I really didn't realize how much I loved it and craved it until like it wasn't an option.
Exactly.
And then it was like, dang, this is like the new normal, which is unfortunate.
Oh,
but again, safety and wellness and health definitely is a priority, but that spiritual relationship is a priority as well. And being able to assemble ourselves and gather together. So, as we are, living in this new normal or new era of life, how has the ministry been able to like maintain hope and faith in the midst of all of this adversity?
Honestly, just staying connected through community. We do have group meets. We do have like Slack where a bunch of us are in groups, so we're able to stay connected. Again, since gathering isn't an option, we've got the villages virtually. We do sometimes have some of the members come in and sit in during the sermons when Pastor Wesley is preaching, which is kind of like a nice little something for people to kind of feel that again, because he's been preaching to an empty sanctuary for, several months at this point. So sometimes we do bring people in so that they can kind of at least have that fellowship sometimes. But in terms of staying hopeful, just kind of staying connected, we have prayer partners, we have the villages, we have our group meet, we have people saying, if you need any help, reach out to me at any point. So we definitely stay connected virtually.
I love that. And then, just being able to kind of shuffle people into the church a little bit at a time on a rotation. I know it's probably a list. I know people are like, sign me up because I need to be able to make some eye contact.
Exactly. And we're trying to figure it out because socially distant in our sanctuary holds maybe about 900-ish people. And we did some measurements to kind of gauge how many people could fit in there socially distant. It's like 150 to 200. So it's like, how do you do that? Do you have tickets? Do you have a reservation system? How does that work? How do you get in? Is it first come, first serve? And then do we want to have church like that where we're so spread apart, where we can't hug, where we can't, welcome one another, we can't sing, because singing is a super spreader. We, and even wearing masks, is that the way we want to kind of re-enter the worship experience? So there's a lot of things to kind of factor in terms of like how we want to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, the church taking its time and, just moving step by step as much as we possibly can is beneficial for everybody. So again, like, I'm just happy that, we're able to continue to have that ministry. One of the things, being able to watch YouTube or YouTube Live or social media to stay connected that way has been a blessing as well. To change the topic just a little bit, we have a monumental election that is coming up. And after watching last night's debate, it is a bit disheartening to
to say the least.
Yeah, to say the least, the direction that the country is headed in. But, you know, again, our source is definitely not man and not here. So it is definitely great to have a hope. But, you know, as we do navigate, you know, having to vote, driving people to vote for the candidate that they feel most is connected to their values and their, I would say, their community as well. You know, is CAYA offering or planning to offer any programs to help members get registered to vote?
So yes, so we do plan to partner with the NAACP. We have a great partnership with them. Tiffany Lofton, who is over youth in the college division for the NAACP, has done several initiatives and efforts with us. So we're kind of working on something over the next month as well. Again, we can't go door to door. We can't do all those things that normally they would have been doing, but we are working on something virtually. We have had panels that our social justice and legal ministry has done just on the mail-in voting and what that's going to look like and what that means. Also, when you join Alfred Street and like your new member kit, when you're signing up for things, it does say, are you registered to vote? And so if you're not, then there is paperwork where you can fill out to actually become registered to vote when you are becoming a member of Alfred Street, which I think is very important because here we are, and we need as many people registered to vote so that we can move things in the direction that we want to move them in.
Absolutely. I think that's awesome. Like, especially like when people come into the ministry and getting asked like proactively, like, are you registered to vote? Because it puts it at the forefront of your mind to make sure that you secure that and take care of that. So I think that's wonderful that, again, it's a part of just the welcoming process to Alfred Street. What about the educational programs to help folks understand the importance of like various positions on voting and things of that nature? Do the panels continue to help with that and break down kind of what it means in different spaces of our communities?
Yes, our social justice and legal ministry that is what their focus is nonstop in general, but obviously even more now. They've hosted several panels and forums, and of course, pre-COVID, they would do them in person. We would have voter registration drives and all that kind of stuff. But yes, they are absolutely educating people on the candidates, the positions and things like that. And that's another thing that Tiffany Lofton has helped us with, just providing us with resources and websites and books and reading material to help us all educate ourselves during this time.
Yeah, speaking of reading materials, going to the Bible. What is your favorite Bible verse, and what Bible verses may you have on hand that kind of come to mind that you would recommend for people, especially if they're dealing with some type of depression or in a really dark place?
My favorite is Jeremiah 29:11, and that's for I know the plans that I have for you, plans to help you, not harm you. And just that I kind of keep in the forefront of my mind, that whatever God's plans are for me are for my good, they're for my benefit, and they're only going to help me advance no matter what the circumstances are around me, no matter what I'm going through, COVID, no COVID, have a job, don't have a job. His plans for me are to help me and not to harm me. So I kind of keep that at the forefront of my mind for sure.
Absolutely. There has been a lot of transitions taking place for a lot of people. Some transitions are in our control and some transitions are not in our control. And I think that is a beautiful scripture and verse to lean on, especially if you are in a space where you are trying to figure it all out. Because sometimes you just feel stuck. As Christians, you feel stuck. And, it's okay to be able to kind of have that release in the word, but then also, as you said, to be able to lean on your brothers and sisters in Christ. I think that is absolutely wonderful. Are there any other books that you recommend that are not necessarily the Bible based or just there to uplift and encourage?
In terms of not outside of the Bible, there are tons of scriptures, obviously, that you could lean on for encouragement. I'm also big on worship music, kind of in keeping in line with, thinking about what God has for me. Another song that comes to mind is Ty Tribbett's, If He Did It Before, He'll Do It Again. So even when I'm going through or times are dark or I'm sad, I'm reminded that He has brought me out of so many other things, and so I kind of rest on the fact that He didn't bring me this far just to bring me this far. And we all kind of just have to, it's mindset at the end of the day. We have to decide, to kind of stay positive, stay optimistic, and just trust that He's got our back, because he has. all those times.
Absolutely. You know, you took the words right out of my mouth. I was thinking to myself, I love to start my day with some praise. And I'm a Kirk Franklin, Pandora listening
Yes.
type of lady. So, you know, if I need a little pick me up, Kirk, give me that.
Mhm.
You know, and I love that because it also ties just into your background yourself, being a part of the music industry, entertainment, and just that transition into praise and worship and how it really can alter your mood. It can change the course of your day. You know, along with knowing that you have CAYA to look forward to, you have the messages to look forward to, but you can also have that one-on-one time with God and have some praise and worship on your own and get yourself right together. So that mindset is key.
Absolutely. And just like there are those songs that are encouraging and, you know, kind of push you to know that, you know, he's going to help you through. There are also songs I listen to when I'm like sad and depressed, like Stand by Donnie McClurkin. Like after you've done all you can, sometimes you also need those songs to just kind of help you where you are, to get it out, to cry it out, to pray it out. And so just like you have those happy Kirk Franklin smile songs, sometimes you also need those songs where you can just like really let it all out, because we have those moments too. And I don't believe in denying ourselves of having those moments. When I am feeling something, I'm going to allow myself to feel it. Now, if it's not positive, I give myself a time limit though, of how long I can feel this sad way. And I'll say, maybe it's an hour, you know, okay, in an hour, I'm going to let this go. Maybe it's, you know what, I'm going to take today to feel how I feel and live in this and be fine. But tomorrow it's going to be different. So I think it's also okay to feel how you feel, but definitely set an end time for that, because you can't live there.
That's right. That is going to help a lot of people. One of the reasons that we come together on Black and Forth and to share in the community is to really make sure that we are being very real and authentic with our feelings, feel all the feels, our emotions. My go-to is Mary, Mary, yesterday. Like that is let me tell you something. When it is rough for me. That is definitely my go-to. And so thank you for being transparent and being open and sharing that aspect, because so many times we do lean on the motivational or just upbeat, up-tempo idea of it all. And the truth is life is challenging and it can be heavy. And we're not going through this by ourselves. We're not experiencing this alone.
But it sometimes feels like we are going through it by ourselves. I think, you know, and it's that whole check on your strong friend, like it's important. We have tough days, you know, and sometimes we're sitting in the house by ourselves and we feel like we're the only ones going through it. No, we are all feeling this right now, all of us. So it's important that we all kind of just lean on each other, check on your friends, and make those phone calls when someone comes to mind, because tomorrow is just not promised. And if there's one thing COVID has taught me, it is to live, and to live unapologetically and live boldly and live in love, because we don't know if tomorrow's going to be, if it's going to come. So I definitely think it's a good time for us to feel how we feel, but also still kind of connect with other people as well.
Absolutely. Brooke, you hit the nail on the head with that one. You coming through. You are coming through right now. Thank you. Any last thoughts you'd like to add to encourage members to remain faithful these next few months? We're getting like, can you believe it? We're about to close out the year.
Crazy.
So I am just like done with 2020.
And it's about to get cold. It's like, it's going to be cold and we dealing with COVID like at the same time. So yeah, it's even, I've had friends that have called me and said, I'm concerned about the fall. I'm concerned about the winter. They're extroverts. They like being out and about around people. And they have shared that they are concerned about their mental and emotional health, because seasonal depression is already a thing. So now that on top of COVID and not being able to connect with people. So I think it's, again, just important to let people know when you're not okay. Yeah. If you're not okay, say you're not okay. You do not have to put on that cape every single day. And so I think it's important that we're transparent and honest with our friends, with our family. If you're not connected to a spiritual body, Alfred Street is an amazing place. I'm not just saying that because I've been here all this time. I know it's a huge church. We have almost like 10,000 members, but we are still a very close-knit, small, big church, if that makes sense. And once you join, I mean, we plug you into different discipleship groups, so that way you do have some sense of community, even amongst the large church family. So I would just say, if you're not plugged into a spiritual family, you definitely should be. You need a prayer partner, you need a cry partner, you need a, you know, go out and get some dinner, like you need it, you know, and so of course to do safely. But I would just encourage everyone in this season that's coming up, this last quarter of the year, to be honest, be real with yourself, and make your needs known. Because don't sit on them.
That's right. That's right. Brooke, how do we stay in contact with you? How do we follow you? How do we stay in contact with the ministry?
Absolutely. So CAYA's Instagram page and social media is at CAYA Experience. So that's CAYA Experience. Alfred Street is at Alfred Street BC. So definitely please follow both of those to stay connected with what we are doing and what we have going on. My IG is at Brooke Alexandra 21. Brooke Alexandra, Alexandra is my middle name. So yeah, those are the ways that you can stay connected. We have services every weekend, Saturdays at 6 p.m., Sundays at 8, 10, and 2. And those are done, of course, by Pastor Wesley. The messages are always amazing, real, raw, and relevant. So definitely, if you don't have another church to tune into, you can tune into ours.
Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us and share with us this evening. Black and Forth, we do this. We are definitely putting on for the culture, and we're just happy that we're able to share with you wonderful people who are impacting the culture and impacting the world. Make sure you follow Digital-PR. They always put it down. Shout out to Fee. I love her. Also, The Wave USA, Black and Forth. I'm your host, Nori Nori, at It's Nori Nori on social media. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your morning, day, evening, whatever time you're watching Black and Forth.